There are some rumors going around that the LSAT's going to be harder now that logic games is no longer on the test, that LSAT is going to ramp up the difficulty of the logical reasoning section, and the truth is that nobody really knows what's going to happen. Today, I'm going to share with you why I love the September LSAT and why the LSAT changes are a great opportunity for anyone taking the LSAT this fall. For those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz. I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005, and I personally increased my LSAT score from a 152 to a 175 on LSAT test day. The reason I love the September LSAT is that it's early in the cycle, but it's not the first LSAT of the test administrations after the logic games have been removed from the test. The August LSAT is going to be a new version of the test, the first time it's being administered, and we don't really know what's going to happen regarding the changes to the LSAT, the changes to the logical reasoning section in particular. Of course, LSAC has now removed logic games from the test and replaced it with a second scored logical reasoning section. And over the past year, we've seen early indications that LSAC may be changing the proportion of questions on the logical reasoning section, possibly to account for the changes to the test. It seems that in experimental sections over the past year, LSAC has been increasing the proportion of certain types of logical reasoning questions that test more quantitative reasoning, numbers versus percentages, absolute versus relative values, and more formal logic. Thing is, LSAC has not released any new test forms in quite some time. As of the time of this recording in late June, the newest LSAT prep test released was LSAT number 94 in the old format. And so the August LSAT is going to be a new testing experience, the first time anyone is taking an official LSAT in the new format with no logic games, that second scored logical reasoning section, along with, of course, a scored reading comp and one unscored extra section of either logical reasoning or reading comp. But until we get reports from those test takers, and really until we get a new released test form from LSAC, we're not going to actually see with our own eyes what the new logical reasoning sections actually look like. Of course, LSAC has confirmed they're not making any radical changes to the test. There's not going to be some new question type, but rather what we're seeing on the LSAT prep side of things, that there appears to be a different proportion of logical reasoning questions on the test. Of course, August LSAT scores come back August 28th. Those who take the August LSAT will be able to apply the second applications open in September, but the September LSAT is quite early as well. You take the September LSAT in early September, you get your scores back in late September, you could still apply pretty early in the cycle. The October LSAT is actually still quite early, and the November LSAT is quite early as well. The January and February LSATs, of course, are not too late, but they are, of course, significantly later in the cycle. And so, all else being equal, better to apply earlier than later if possible. And so if you've been studying for the LSAT for a while, you've already built your foundation, you've drilled questions by type, you've worked on your pacing. Now, in these last 2 months, it's time to pull it all together and bring it on home by doing full-length timed practice tests and reviewing them in depth. If, however, you feel like you're still working on that foundational phase of your studying, maybe you want to consider postponing to October or November in order to achieve your fullest potential. But regardless of whenever you're taking the LSAT, the good news is that with logic games removed from the test, there's less material for you to study. You get to narrow your focus on logical reasoning, and any gains you make in your understanding of logical reasoning will be doubled across the two sections. August, of course, is pretty tight at this point. So think to yourself, if you've been deciding between taking it in August and taking it in September, would you benefit from that additional month of studying? Would you like to have another month to take another timed exam a week or 2 timed exams a week, or drill certain types of logical reasoning questions? The most common types are necessary assumption, inference, and flaw. Do you feel solid on those? If so, great. You go ahead and take it in August or September, and you apply super early in the cycle. You go for September, you get the benefit of hearing from those who took it in August, how it went, what was happening in the logical reasoning section, if anything, and you can apply the same month that applications open when your odds are higher and your odds of getting scholarship money are greater as well. You can also work on your application essays in those 2 to 3 weeks after the LSAT while you're waiting for your score, pull it all together, and hit submit when scores come back in late September. If you'd like my help on your journey to achieving a 175 or above on the LSAT in September, August, or whenever you're taking it, feel free to check out the links below. And in the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.